All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching this video again. This is going to be our chapter number one, part two. I just named it level two. All right. So in this particular part, we will be talking about a very important thing of web development, and that's called HTML tags. You already remember from the last class we discussed what is HTML tag. We have already discussed HTML tags. They tell the browser how to display the data. Now, how we gonna add the tags? We're gonna discuss approximately 10 different tags, right? I'm gonna show you with hands-on. So we're gonna start with the basic term that is called HTML attributes. Basic example of that. Then we will discuss a couple of HTML tags, and lastly, we're gonna see the character entity reference, which are kind of obsolete. We don't use them anymore, but still, I will go over that before we move on to the project and other details. So the first thing that's very important, that's the HTML attributes. So if we just call attribute of a human, of a person, the attribute of a person is like the properties of a person. For example, the hair colors, height, skin color, right? This is just like simple properties of a person. Exactly the same way in HTML attribute, whenever you put any tag, whenever you write any tag, let's say if I write a tag h1, if I write a tag h1, or for example, if I, let's say, write a tag, for example, let me zoom in this thing here so you can better, let me just make it this thing. All right, so for example, let me just make it at least 16. So for example, 16. All right. So for example, if I just make a tag a, for example, tag a. So with the tag a, if I just put a h reference, so and then I can put, so this is like, for example, in this, let's say I'm putting https www.google.com. All right. And then I'm gonna close this, something like this, and then I'm gonna put here, please visit please visit us, something like this. And then if I put here /a. Now basically the tag is a, but if you guys see with this tag, I have defined an attribute. Like this particular tag has something else, a specific property that is called attribute. All right. So browser will understand how to display this text or this content. Remember, the whole thing is called element, and these are called the tags, and this is called the content. So when you put a tag tells the browser how to display or use this, display this content. Now what's gonna happen? Let's see. Let me just copy and paste this thing. Let's see how what happens. If we go up here back to our web page, if I click here and let me just put something here, hrefgoogle.com, something like this. All right, let's go to our web page. Now let's go up down here. So you guys see it displayed something like this, please visit us. And let's say if I right click here, open it up. Something might be wrong because we can actually see that what's exactly the issue is. We'll see that, but it doesn't look like a normal page. It looked like something else. All right, we're gonna see that how what's exactly what going wrong, what's the problem with this. We're gonna see it, but the main idea is it display as like a hyperlink. So why did it happen? For example, if I don't put anything, if I just make it, because for attributes we just have to select a couple of tags. We'll see that. So anyway, uh, attributes being the traits, the properties. So how do we put the properties? This is how the properties looks like. If you see, I put a here, and then the attribute value, like for attribute value I put href. So if I go up here, I put href https google.com, something like this. All right, / something like this, and please visit us, something like that. Now, what happened? This is the value of this particular tag, the attribute. So that's the main idea, or what exactly it is. This is the main attribute it is. And attributes are always put inside the tag. So inside the tag, we always put the attributes, right? Examples are href for the hyperlink reference, source, and alt. Alt is typically used for accessibility. We'll see that accessibility is, for example, let's say if an image is not being displayed, so we can add some information on that, right? So this is basically the format how we can add the attribute, a definition of attribute. One more thing of attribute, and that's called the ID. ID is typically used, for example, if we are using multiple tags or multiple values for a specific tag, so we use a unique identifier. So this unique identifier will differentiate a tag from other tags. we are going to see this in detail in CSS. I'm not going to go in that detail to make it more complex, but we typically use the ID tag. Typically we use it ID attribute in over CSS and JavaScripting. So basic idea, what is attribute? Attributes are typically defined how a tag is going to behave, right? The value and the property of the tag. And ID property is typically used because it differentiate a tag from another tag. So we will discuss that in CSS and JavaScripting. Let's coming to over the main agenda item for today, and these are HTML tags, right? So the first tag that you're gonna see is the heading tag. I just wrote down the code here. This controls the headings. Now, if you see, there are different. The range start from H1 to H6. It does reduce the size, but please remember for SEO, search engine optimization, if you put a H1 for a heading, it means that is going to be an important heading. H6 mean this heading is least important. So what happens whenever you write down a code like this code, heading 1 or something, this code will go to the browser. This code will be used by SEO. So if they find H1, so what does it mean? It means that heading is important. Of course, this heading is going to be big as well, even though it do reduce the size. Let's try that. So for example, this is H1. Now let me copy the same thing, the whole thing. Let me delete this. Okay, so I'm gonna make it H2 and let's make it small. As I mentioned earlier, it's always better to use small tags. H2, let's say H3, this is gonna be third. So please remember, it doesn't mean that it's the third heading, all right? So this is like the size, of course, and the importance. So we can go up to H6, so H4, for example. Let's see how our web page looks like. If I go up here to a web page, you guys can see here. All right, so H1, the big heading, plus more important for SEO, search engine optimization. The SEO will take it as an important heading. All right, so this is how our heading tag looks like, and this is the H1 heading, which is important heading. Next, the paragraph tag. Paragraph tag is typically used in order to specify a paragraph. And what's the benefit of this? It adds automatically spacing before and after. Let me show you guys. So for example, let me delete everything from here. Let's say if I just want to put down here, let's say this is my web tech class. So if you just type here, as I mentioned earlier, whatever you guys put it in between the body tag, it's going to be printed as it is. So if I go back to my web page, you're going to see that that's how it shows. All right. So now if I want to, on the next line, I want to write down, or underneath, I want to put it down here, something like, so we will be completing over lab 1 in next class, something like this. All right, that's something like this. If I go back here, you guys can see that it's going to come onto the same line. It doesn't become a paragraph. So the paragraph tag, it basically give a structure. So let's say if I want to make it a paragraph, so I will put a tag P. You're going to see that auto completion can automatically add the other one, /P. All right, so now I want to make it this another paragraph. And if I just put this P, it will automatically /P, it will automatically complete it. Now if I go back here to the web page, you're going to see that it's going to treat it, it's going to make it more structured. And for example, there's one thing that you guys can do if you want to add some random data in it. There is basically a term that we use, for example, P. And if you want to add some random data in it, you can put here lorem. So if you put a lorem, you can see the AMET abbreviation. And let's say if I put here 50, it's going to randomly add some 50 words. All right. And whenever it goes in that way, you can go to view and I can word wrap. So if you go to word wrap, it's going to actually show you onto the one page. All right, see, this is random words. If I go back here, you guys gonna see this. So this is basically what the paragraph tag is. All right, so there's another thing that you guys can do within the paragraph tag, and that's called the break tag. Very, very commonly used tag. Break tag basically breaks the line. All right, and it can be added inside any tag, and it does not require any closing tag. Anything is valid. You can use this format or you can use this. It doesn't require any closing tag. So for example, if I go up here and let's say right here tech, I want this to be come onto the next line, I will put BR. BR stand for break tag. So if I put a BR and if I go to my web page, you will see that this will break the line, right? And let's say if I put one more BR, it's gonna add one more blank line. It's gonna break it, bring it down to the next line. If I put one more BR, it's gonna keep breaking it. You see that it's gonna put the break. It doesn't require the break tag. The beauty of the break tag is it does not require any closing tag. I hope everybody got it. So far we have discussed three tags. One is the heading tag, H1, the big heading plus more important for SEO, H6 least important, all right, for more structuring. Paragraph is typically used. It will structure automatically spacing before and after, and you will have your web page more organized. Break tag in order to break the data, in order to break the text so it can come onto the different lines. HR tag is also used. HR tag is typically used. It's called HR stand for horizontal rule. Horizontal rule. Why do we use it? It basically draw a line between them. So for example, let's go up down here. Let me delete everything from here and let's make a heading tag first. Let's say H1. Welcome to web technologies. And for example, after that, if I just put here paragraph and for example lorem 10, so lorem 10, so it will randomly create 10 words and add it, and let's see how our web page looks like, something like this. Now what I'm gonna do is, if I just want to put a horizontal line here for a separation, I will just add a tag, and that is HR tag. So all you need to do is just put a HR, just a HR tag, that's it. Now if you see, it will put a horizontal rule. All right, and let's say if we put one more HR, another line is going to be drawn. So HR will basically add a horizontal line. So this tag is also commonly used just to separate it. It basically acts as a divider. Now the next tag I'm going to show you guys is going to be very, very important, and that particular tag is called the image tag. How do we use it? And for image tag, we're going to use an attribute, and SRC is basically the attribute. How do we use that? How do we control it? That's going to be a very important thing, right? So for example, for this particular tag, what I'm going to do is you need to have a picture here. So for example, let's say in this folder, I need to have a picture as well. Let's say I want to add a picture. So let me just remove this thing. Let's say I want to add one picture here. So after this, I want to add an image. So let me find an image first. So let's say if I have an image of mine or something, let's say this is the Mario image. So let's say Mario, let me rename it. Let's name it m.webp. All right. So I'm gonna copy and paste here. You guys saw here, I got a picture here. You can drag and drop. And if I show you my folder on the desktop, which I created, you're gonna see everything would be right there. So that's WebTech. You guys see everything's right here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I have this picture. I'll go back to index.html. Now I want this picture on my web page. How I can get that? I will type here img tag, which is image tag, and then you're gonna type a source. So now image tag, but image tag doesn't require any closing tag. That's the beauty of image tag. So this tag, please remember, it does not require any closing tag. Self-closing doesn't require a closing tag. Now for image, what I'm gonna do is I need to define source, like put a value, source, the name of image, which is m.webp. All right, m.webp. It can be PNG file, it can be JPEG. You need to define that. After that, it is all good, but let's see how it's gonna look like. If I close it, and let's see if we go to the web page, let's see how it looks. You guys saw that the image is showing up. All right. Now, for example, I want to make it small, so you can define some more information. Let's say I can define height, and let's say height is equal to, for example, 300 pixels. It is typically in pixels. 300 pixels. Let's see. It's better. You can make it small, big, and all that. It's basically depends on how many pixels. It will use 300 pixels per inch, of course, for that. So this is how this image looks like, and I can add one more thing which is called alt. Alt is basically the um, it's for accessibility. So for example, I'm gonna write it down, Mario pic picture. So if anybody is using accessibility, so that person can also hear the image. Alt is going to be played. It's not going to show on the web page, but for example, let's say if the if the image got broken, anything happens, so this accessibility feature can make it viewable. All right, so this is how the images are. We can add one more image if you want. I can show you a PNG. Let me see if I have a PNG image. This is the PNG test.png. So let me just put this image here. All right, and let me go back to my index.html. I want this. I'm gonna copy the same fun, and let me just put a horizontal line, HR. We just learned it how to put the line, and after that I'm gonna put it. But all I have to do is change the name. So this is test.png, test.png. All right, now let's see if it shows up. Boom, we got that as well. We got that picture, that picture. You can make it small if you want to make it small. 300, I'm gonna make it, let's say 100. So it got small. All right, one more thing which I'm gonna show you here, which is of course a great idea. So typically web developers, that's the way how they typically design the web pages. So let's say if I right click here, new folder, let me create a new folder, for example, the images folder. And in that folder, I'm gonna drag and drop my pictures, images, move it, and this picture, which is the test.png, in this. All right, so now images are in this folder. Under the web technologies, I created a new folder and I put my images right down here. Now, if you go to the web page, you're gonna see the pictures are gone. Now, do you see those accessibility text is gonna show up, all text, the Mario, even though the picture is not here. So, but something messed up. Why? Because picture have been moved, changed. Now, what we have to do? What do we need to do? We need to actually type here images / like in images folder, this picture is located. And for example, right here, images / test. And I think I need to change this to Apple. Let's name it to Apple because that's what the Apple was. All right. So if you see images, because now it's gonna, I need to provide the path where exactly it is. Now you go back, so you're gonna see that the pictures are back. So this is like how typically the web developers, they do organize the data in the directories of code. Another way to do it, you can also, or you can directly, you can put the information here. Let me show you one thing. For example, let's say if I go up here, let's say, for example, GitHub. Let's go to GitHub, just the GitHub. And I just want the GitHub picture image. Let's say I want this picture of the GitHub. Right click here and let's see. This is the GitHub picture. And let's say right click. Let me right click here and copy the link address. You're gonna copy the link address and let me go up to my coding and I'm gonna add, let me remove, add, for example, another tag img src equal to, you can right click and paste, or you can just paste it, control V, command V. And after that, if you close it, you can also do the other things as well the same way. How did we do that? Same way, we close the tag. Now if I go to my web page, now you see something is broken here, right? So because that image or that path is not showing up properly. Let me just see if I can find this. This is another one. Right click here, copy the link address. Let me try this one and let's see if this works. All right, and let's say if we can change the height as well, the same way. How did we do that for this one? Let's see, height equal to 100, and let's make it run. Let's go back to the web page. Yeah, it's still not showing up. I'll check it out why it is, but this is how you can also get the images directly and make the images display right from directly from the web pages. Yeah, this might be a protected image. That might be the reason it's not showing up here. Anyway, so the next tag is going to be, this is our image tag. Next tag is going to be our video tag. The same way, how did we display the image? Exactly the same way we can display our video tag. So for video tags, how we can do that? There are a bunch of options, like you can make them autoplay, you can put a control, or you can also define a loop as well. MP4 and WebM, that's how typically the video tags are. How video tags are typically added? Let me delete all these. All right, for HR, I like that tag kind of. So let me put HR tag. So for video tag, you need to have a video right down here. So let's see if I have a video. Let me see if I can show you a small video. Let me see if I have a small video, mp4 dot mp4. Okay, so all right, so I got this video for 10 seconds. Let me see if so all you need to do is, let me rename it test 1 2. All right, test 1 2. I'm gonna drag and drop it right here. Same way, videos right here. Now I'll go back here, how to add this video onto our web page. HTML5 does support the video, so I'm going to put a video tag here and src, which is source, and let's say it's going to be test 12.12.mp4. so that's gonna be videos right here. You don't have to provide a video closing tag, it's not required, but if up to you. So this is the video, and I need to put some controls as well for video. So source is right here, then I can put an autoplay. Let's make it autoplay. So autoplay, and let me just put a loop as well, and let's see how it works. Now you guys can hear some ticks, all right? So let's see. So if I go back here, you guys saw it is started auto playing. And now since the video gets auto played and we put a loop, it will automatically play by itself. So, but if you want some controls, you can put here controls. So if you put controls, now you're gonna see the controls as well, where we can stop it, we can make it big, small, etc, etc. If it is not working on your browser, please change the browser and test it on other browser and let me know, right? If it's required. Okay, so we have learned the video tag, very important tag, and that is called the anchor tag. Anchor tag is typically used to create hyperlinks. So you can create some hyperlinks, and href, which is hyperlink reference, is required in order to target it. Let me show you how you can do that and how we can make it add a blank web page and all that stuff. Let me quickly show you that. So you can quickly go up here. Let's go up here, and let's say let me delete this one. And you can also control one thing. I forgot to tell you one thing about video tags. You can also set the same way. Like if you want to put a height here, so height, let's say make it 200. So you can hit 200 pixel. You can define a height, and if you go back here, height is gonna be, you can increase and decrease the height the same way. Everything is exactly the same. If I move the video into a new folder, let's say new folder is video. I create a new folder and move this video into new folder, move it, is gonna be gone from our web page. Still here. That's still here, by the way, but typically it should actually gone, but because we have to define here the path, the video / that file, right? So that's how typically it's gonna work. All right, anyway, so let's move on. Anchor tag, let me show you how anchor tag looks like and how it works. So for anchor tag, so what I'm gonna do is, let me remove this. For anchor tag, let's say if I wanna let's say /a href equal, and let's try the website, https www, I think we tried that, it didn't work, but let's try that, google.com /quotes. I think I'm missing the quote here. All right, so the code is done, and now you can close this tag. All right, and you can put here for whatever you want. Click here to visit my favorite website, whatever the text you want. Let's see how it looks like. Now, if I go back to my web page, this is how it looks. If you click it, it's going to open the google.com. All right. Now, the thing is, if I click it, it's going to change the web page into this, and I have to go back to do this. But if you want another tab to get open, you can type here target, like target equal to underscore blank underscore blank, and then I'm gonna the code should be one. Okay, something like this. So what blank mean? It will open a new tab, and blank will open its own tab. So browser will open a new tab for the blank, right? Browser is gonna open a new tab. It's not gonna ask you to do it. So if I click here now, you're gonna see that it's gonna open a new tab, rather than changing that same web page into that website. So this is basically what over uh, the anchor tag is. So for example, whatever the text you want, it doesn't matter whatever the text you want. Let's say you can put here, let's say, click here to visit Google, something like this. It's going to change with this. You're going to see that, click here to visit Google. And now for the nested tag thing, just to let you guys know, if I want to make it bold, so, or for example, make it heading, let me heading 1. So now I can make it a heading 1, even though it would be hypertext, but I made it a nested hypertext, something like this. Now if you go back, it's going to be heading and visit hypertext, right? So this is the way how you can control over the tags. The next is very, very simple, just one line. One is the bold tag, italic tag, underline, and strike through. So bold, B for the bold, I for the italic, U for the underline, and S for the strike through. So this the strike through. Let's see how we can do that. So for example, under this, if I want to make something bold, so B is for bold tag. You can put here hello. This is for bold. I is for italic, hello. And for example, let's say underline, test, and for example strike through, S for the strike through, done. All right, and now if you run it back, you can see all these things. But now this time you see everything is coming into the same line. So what do we have to do? We need to actually bring them down to the next line. So how can I do that? If I put here BR, break. If I put a BR here, break tag, BR one blank line. So you're going to see that everything should be on the different lines. And now what you guys can do is you can also put more line breaks. Let's see if I put 2 breaks here, BR, another break here, and go back here, you're going to see that it's going to put more lines. All right. So this is that's over bold, italic, underline, strike through. 2.8 is the pre-tag. Pre-tag is also used for preserving the text formatting. Let's say if you have copy pasted something from somewhere, so you can use the pre-tag, right? So preserve the text formatting. It maintains the white and the white space and the blank spaces. So whatever the text you have copied, it's going to show straight away. For example, I want to copy this. I have copied this, copy, and let's say if I go back to my software, I want it to display something like this. If I go back here and let's say I delete all these things, and let's say if I put here paragraph and paste here, everything like this. Let's see how it looks. It's going to look like. It's going to look like this. All right. So for example, I want it to display exactly the same way how we had that, or how it is looking down here. How do we do that? In order to do that, you can put here pre, and this is going to be the pre tag, and that's going to be closing of the pre tag. Now you're going to see that it's going to take care of all the spaces. It is better than break tag. Now you're going to see that the way how you have copied it, it has maintained the same thing. So for example, let's say if we go up here, something like this, whatever you want to copy. So it's going to actually show you the same way. So I hope you guys understand. Let's say I want to have something like this, and then something is right here, something like this. Now what's going to happen, your web page is going to look like this, the data. Let's see, go back here. So pre-tag is better than break, because in break you have to put a lot of things. So this is like better than that tag. The next tag. I know it's taking forever, but just quick few things. Q tag. One is to big or small tag. How do we do that? Big or small tags, we typically we don't use them anymore, by the way, but we can still use it. But these are kind of getting obsolete. These tags are typically obsolete because we have started using CSS. But for example, if you want to increase or decrease the size of the text, so for example, let's go back here. So for example, if I put here within the pre, let's say for this one, if I put here big, it's gonna make it big. Hello should be right here. Hello. And let's say this is this one. Let me make it, for example, small. So let's make it small. And let me just put something in between that. All right, something like this. So let's go back here and let's test it out. All right, this is hello, and this is the one which we made it small. You can see it is even more smaller than the other one. But this is like the tags that we kind of obsolete. We control the font size by using CSS. All right, the next is the this is big and small tags, superscript and subscript. Like for example, if you want to write down some equations, so the super simple way to do it is if you use the superscript or subscript. For example, let's say you want to write down a formula, a squared plus b squared plus c squared, something like this. This formula, you want to write down a plus b whole square, a2 plus b2 plus 2ab, something like this in this fashion. How are you going to write it down? Right? One of the way is you can write down by using simple formula. Let me show you guys. So for example, if I write a formula, let me remove everything from here. For example, let's say a plus b, all right, power 2 equal to a2 plus b2, something like this. If we display this, oh sorry, it's my bad, it basically actually get to emit. So we're gonna, all right, a plus b square equal to a2 plus b2, something like this. So now if I go back here, it's gonna look like something like this. It doesn't look like good. It doesn't look nice. How we can make it better? So with the superscript and subscript, what we can do is, I'm gonna write it down. So with scripting. So as you know, what I did is, this is the comment. So with the scripting, what I'm gonna do? With the scripting, I'm gonna do this, a bracket a plus b. And now what I want is, I want superscript like the power. So I'm gonna put a tag here, sup, superscript, super 2, all right, and then equal to, next a, and then superscript, super 2 plus b, and then I'm gonna do superscript 2. Now if you guys see the result, you're gonna like it, I'm sure. Oh, we didn't put something here to differentiate it. So I'm gonna put here a break, 2 breaks. Let's put 2 breaks so we can see better. So you guys see a square plus b square. So if you put subscript, this is superscript. If I change it to sub, so this is gonna be subscript now. All right, it's gonna come in the bell. You see, power is gonna be as a subscript. So this is basically how do we use superscript and subscript to make it mathematical equations, footnotes, etc., etc. The last thing, promise that's the last thing. All right, so this is absolutely the last thing, and this is like the character entity references. We typically use, these are reserved notations. For example, if you want some sort of these sort of for example, you want registered, trademark, or these sort of tags, or maybe the blank spaces. This is NBSP. NBSP is a very common to put some blank spaces. So any, as the syntax is, anything started with and ending with a semicolon, it's called the character entity reference. How do we do that? So for example, let's say this is my web page, how it looks like. For example, I want to bring it into the middle. So how can I do that? So one of the way to do it is, I can go to the heading right here, and I can put here simple and annotation, NBSP, and then semicolon. Do you see semicolon? So it's basically it's gonna what it's gonna you can study about it, of course. So what I can do is I can copy it, Control C. Let me put one more, two. At least let me put two so you can see there's a backspace. Let's go back here to the web page. Do you see some spaces here? Let's put some more so you can see better results. So let me put copy this, and you can put anywhere in the content. Let's see how it's going to look like. You see it moved a little here. So this is basically one of the example, and also you can use, for example, if you want for example registered a copy somewhere, so you can use that. Let's try that. For example, if I wanna for this I wanna put here registered, so and reg, and then if you put semicolon, this one registered. So now let's see how the web page will have. You see the register tag. So if you want these sort of things in your web page, so we can use typically the character entity reference. So this is the whole table. You don't need to memorize it, but these are reserved for it. So that's it about chapter number 1, part 2. So this completes our whole chapter. We will discuss that in our class. So don't worry, we're not going to have a quiz unless we discuss that in our class. So HTML attributes, we have talked about it. What is the attribute? We have discussed the HTML tags. We have discussed all the tags of HTML. And finally, we have discussed character entity reference, which are reserved. And these are reserved keywords, and those can be added to the tags and content. So thank you very much, everyone. If anybody has any question, please let me know. Take care.